Okay, I see a lot of YouTubers, well, myself included, are in this category where uh, if you got a interest in human behavior and you're leaning towards perhaps thinking about somebody could be a bit sociopathic, psychopathic, or narcissistic, or whatever, and that's fine. And we are all qualified to a uh, fairly higher percent than some people might think because we are all human beings. So I do get tired sometimes when people um, get all fussy over, oh, you're not qualified to say this or that. What I've been doing is I mean, I've had no attacks against me on that. I wouldn't say attacks, that's the wrong word. Slating, perhaps. But what I would point out is, like many others who are in the same boat, also would probably point out, is we are all human. We all know what emotion is and what different emotions are and how we feel with certain things, and we can learn what different expressions are if we don't really already know. They're just social discourse anyway, body language, facial expressions, and so on. So we all have this knowledge anyway, so we can point, we can make a educated guess that goes in a fairly close to perhaps what somebody who is qualified could say, yes, you're on the right track with this or that, but here's where you're wrong. Which is why I think it's very important. I think it's crucial also in today's world, especially with the collapse of America. What's mind-blowingly crucial is to know ourselves and what's going on inside, and how corruption uses what's going on inside to control you and use you against yourself and others, so that corruption can carry on with nothing to see here, carrying on. Caroline Leavitt is one of those who would jump on the bandwagon who's sociopathic, not a psychopath. And again, sociopaths have a lack of regard for other people's emotion. They kind of lack themselves being too emotional, although they, again, just like narcissism, there's not just narcissism, there's a whole range. There's malignant narcissists, the covert narcissists, and so on. There's probably about seven, from what I've been looking at. I think it might be about seven types, and maybe some that are a blend of one or the other of narcissism. And again, the same would be true for all these other things. Is a way to, I would argue there's some sociopathy out there, if applied in particular ways, can actually be good for, although that's a very nuanced thing to say, good for other people. You don't have to be for flat out evil if you think you have if you're worried yourself about a disregard of other people's emotions. That's really not true sociopathy because you're worried about it. Yeah, and people who say they're worried about it, we all wear a mask. Everybody wears a mask. So many layers deep. The deeper it is, the more fake the person is, I guess. And certainly, we do that to protect our own private kind of interests. We all do it. And Caroline Levitt is somebody who wants to protect her own interests, because if she was out there with the rest of the chaos that is collapsing America right now, she'd be a victim of the chaos. But she's found her ideal seat on the bandwagon to utilize and use the situation, use people, use the language, use the rhetoric that the Trump administration blurts out all this utter fucking garbage, and she'll tell you without even looking confused, no matter how absurd it sounds, no matter how outlandish it is, how contradictory it is, she will use it, and very much like she's following a script. You look at her way she talks, and also when you look at somebody who's very robotic like that, cold and sociopathic, emotionless, but even I think even Caroline will have some emotion, but it's to do with her, not anyone else, when it comes to emotion. If you look at somebody like her, she will have this dead stare when she talks, and there's no very little activity on the forehead. There's no frowning much, although I've seen a little bit of that. But there's no confusion in the facial expressions, much if at all. It's very deadpan face. And sociopaths would do this because there's very little emotion going on or confusion, and she's happy to follow the script. She doesn't give a fuck about anyone else being confused or her getting confused for them and going, oh, sorry, what I meant was, but no, it's sheer just follow the script. That shit's all over any sensible, grounded questions from press or other people when you see these clips. So I've said she's doing that on the bandwagon to use it because it protects her in the storm that is America right now, the collapse of America. And to quote, answering machine at the White House because the government's shut down. And perhaps I might do a separate video on the shutdown of the United States government. But she says, it's in front of me here. I'll read it to you. It starts off, thank you for calling the White House. Comment line. Hello, America. This is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Trump's little errand bitch, really. I mean, seriously, this is a perfect puppet. It is not public relations, it's just repeat the agenda, which is bad for public relations anyway. Cause, yeah, but here it is. This is the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Right? She expresses that. And then she goes on to say, blaming the Democrats for the shutdown. They can't do that, they're not the ones in power. Democrats in Congress have shut down the federal government because they care more about funding healthcare for illegal immigrants and they care about serving you, the American people. This again is rhetoric, language, terminology in order to get you all fighting against each other. The same with the left versus the right. It doesn't tell you fuck all about anybody. It doesn't tell you who has liberal ideas, perhaps combined with more conservative ideas, what party they're part of, if any. Are they independent? Are they what they're an advocate of? It doesn't tell you anything about them. It just instigates, oh, that's that side, my side, your side, let's fight. And that's all this is. Caroline Leavitt knows this, and then she knows that, oh, the White House is going to get a number of calls during the lockdown. And any opportunity she has, she's going to use that same script, that same rhetoric to have people fighting against each other. They don't get direct answers. They get one side versus the other. And idiots who buy this, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're still buying this shit at this point, you're just 100% a puppet being puppeteered, and you've lost your mind. Steve McRae comes to mind. He's completely lost any reasoning. There's no reasoning there at all. He doesn't know how to reason. He contradicts himself with everything that he claims to be an advocate of. Um, I mean, seriously, you could take one clip of him saying one thing and then him saying something else, and he's contradicting himself. All he's driven with is fight. There's an enemy out there, an imaginary enemy that was created via this kind of language that, oh, it's these nebulous people, it's this other party. It's not telling you what individual thought of a certain policy and how it was applied, whatever. It's always, even with the language that if you eliminate left or right and you do say Democrats versus Republicans, you're still not going anywhere practical that can be applied for practical application, for knowledge that can be applied properly, so that you know where you stand, so you can prepare for anything that's going to happen further down the line, because it doesn't tell you anything, it doesn't educate you on anything. All it does is instigate your emotional drive to fight an imagined enemy. That's what Caroline Leavitt does. That's what she's for. Because all the Republican Party, Trump administration, want to do clearly is to instigate that. And she follows the script. She knows how this works. We have got to understand how people manipulate other people, whether you want to believe it or not. It's a fact. It happens. People manipulate other people all the time. You're being played. You're in a game, so you may as well play games anyway. It doesn't have to mean that you can have to play games that are a detriment to other people. Some people can be played in ways in which you're being cruel to be kind later. There's nothing about a Trump administration that's being cruel to be kind. It's a total annihilation of any values that exist within a so-called democracy. But there's the contradiction as well, because America's been running democracy as well as Republican, kind of mixing the two together. And I don't see other countries doing that. You either pick a lane, you're either one or the other. Yes, the two do have a lot of similarities, but identity crisis from day one. And the American dream was Goblin Queen Chesh pointed this out as well. I totally 100% agree. Is the American dream was an idea that you should constantly try to aspire to, but somewhere along the line, very early on, it was a delusion that you're already there, and everywhere else was never anywhere as good as, despite the fact that no American was really being taught much about anywhere else, and shoved in your face everywhere was anything about America, the American flag, and the American way is best, and God we trust. All this rhetoric created a tribal bubble, an echo chamber that destroys any critical application of knowledge coming. That is no knowledge there, because it's pushed out. The bubble is closed off, separated, and people don't see it because it's not a physical bubble that's separating people, but it's via language and thought processes and the power that we give certain words that make people feel certain ways and get people chanting USA, USA, USA. That has never ever sounded like patriotism to me. and I'm sure many other people across the world, what it's always sounded like is an angry mob because the emotions kicked up, and you're fighting an enemy that is created and imagined and fictionalized for you in order to keep fighting. So that corruption carries on doing its thing and using you as a fucking puppet, a slave. You're not liberated. You never were in the first place. The French giving you a Statue of Liberty made a big mistake there because they played by that bullshit themselves. Really, if they really knew at the time what was going on. And you're not liberated from slavery. You're not liberated from, uh, sure, liberated from what happened then, maybe, you know, the British Empire and so on. But it is 2025. Uh, so, again, uh, reiterate to you, thank you for calling this recorded message. Caroline Leavitt talking. Thank you for calling the White House. And then blaming the Republicans. It's crazy. So, thank you for calling a comment line, White House comment line. Hello, America. This is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Democrats in Congress. It wasn't us that did it, it was them. Right? Go fight them. They're the enemy. Go on, rally. What you got to do next is stand around with that's it, pitchforks and sticks were lit up with fire. How primitive do you want to get by being controlled by this shit? So the Democrats have shut down the federal government because they care more about funding healthcare for illegal immigrants. Well, illegal immigrants by law are not allowed to get the healthcare anyway, from what I've been looking at. So what the fuck are you talking about? But she isn't talking about anything that's real. It creates a fictional scenario to get you fighting a fictional enemy that does not exist. And they care about serving you, the American people. They don't care about serving you, the American people. Until Democrats vote for the clean Republican backed continuing revolution to reopen. Yeah, this has been like speech to text, so some of this is a bit off, so slightly misreading it. I'm reading it from a video clip of Luke Beasley. We'll put the audio through and you'll hear it. And it's just absurd. So have a listen anyway. I'll put that through. I'll mute myself. It is mind-blowingly absurd. But I'm sure in press conference, if and when they open up the government again, and I'm saying if and when for other reasons, but regardless, it's a whole other video. Try to stay focused, yeah. The same facial expressions, the same script, the same bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. Will become spewing out of her mouth, and the expression will be as if it's absolute truth. She's just a fake puppet for a fake presidency, you know. Anyway, I didn't want to take away from Luke's great work here, but here we are. I'll put the audio through.
Hello, America. This is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Democrats in Congress have shut down the federal government because they care more about funding health care for illegal immigrants than they care about serving you, the American people. Until Democrats vote for the clean, Republican-backed continuing resolution to reopen the government, the White House is unable to answer your call or respond to your questions.
So until the Democrats until the Democrats fall in line with the corruption, you want to interpret what she's saying. But of course, she's a puppet and doesn't want to. Doesn't. It's not on her agenda to say corruption. It's on her agenda to say revolution. This is going to be great for America, like a Trump speech. Only emotion. Trump during his first term was only emotion. No details on anything. I know, some group working on some science for combating the COVID pandemic back then. Typical speech from him would be, I know some of them, I've talked to them, referring to people working on vaccines maybe. It'd be something like, I'm not saying he said these particular things, but this would be a perfect example. So listen carefully to what I'm saying, and you tell me if this, in any scenario, where whatever it's supporting, tells you anything about what it is or anything at all, but instead does it just raise your emotion instead. I know some of them. Here's what he would start with. I spoke to some of them. They're wonderful people, really amicable, and get to know them. They're great. We got the best. We got the best working on so many things. Only the best with this administration. It's going to be so great going ahead for the future. We're going to be developing all kinds of things going ahead. It's going to be great for everybody across the board. It's going to be so great. We're going to make America great again. What did that tell you? We got the best, only the best. The people have made memes about that kind of speaking, and it doesn't tell you a damn thing about anything. The best of what? What are you talking about? And you could extract his speeches and show it on any other category, COVID or otherwise, and his crazy MAGA cult people would say, oh, he was in great support of this or that because he spoke about it. Well, no, he didn't. He didn't speak about anything. He just used language to instigate you emotionally to make you believe he was supporting something. We have got to analyze that. We have got to see how that type of crap uses people so easily, especially once they're riled up to start with. The American people were looking for something. They were sick and tired of the bullshit in American politics. They were looking for something very different. Trump instigated emotion on that level as well by saying, I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman, I'm something different during his first term. Well, government is a fucking business anyway, right? It's a business, right? Although it's far more complicated than just any standard business. But saying you're a politician and you're a businessman, you're kind of the same thing individually. And what they're selling you is policies, which just makes it more complicated than just the average businessman, because a policy whether some people like it or not, it's going to affect a lot of people, not just one individual buying a product, right? Affects a lot of lives. And defunding a lot of things here is going to affect, has affected, and going to get worse, detrimental effect of people's lives. So she ended this with, "We look forward to hearing from you again." If you still think something's going to happen, people are going to step in and stop this, I don't know what to tell you. That's a delusion that is you might be doing in order to make yourself feel more comfortable. Stop it. The shit's hitting the fan. I said early on, you needed a civil war in order to put fear into the administration. That's how serious this actually is. But now, if you have a civil war now, it's going to be worse than if it started earlier. And it looks like it's inevitable that's going to happen anyway. Particularly, you're riled up anyway of one side versus another. By design, this is deliberate. And Caroline Leavitt is in her favourite position to protect herself using the right rhetoric, the scripting, using the scripts to get you angry enough to blame your opposition. I don't give a fuck whether you're Republican or is it Democrat. I don't give a shit. Those are just words. What's important is you are in a game that is being played, and you are being used like a pawn that is completely expendable. They don't care about your life. They don't care about your feelings. It's just horrendous. The lack of education on the sciences, biology sciences as well. The science of biology is part of a problem here, where women with ectopic pregnancies, oh, you don't know what that is, probably. Okay, without going into detail, because perhaps it'll be a separate video, ectopic pregnancy is going to kill the mother and the baby if it's left to go ahead. If there's an abortion, the mother survives. So how is it pro-life banning abortions? But it didn't teach you anything on anything of that. Same with anything else that you seem to be doubling down on if you're a MAGA follower. Because why? Because you don't know anything about what you're doubling down on. You're just emotional drive. It was that side that said this about that or whatever. That, again, what's being said again could be offloaded onto something else. And then you say, see, they said this about, no, the subject, the actual thing about what's being referred to is not in the fucking words as being used. Again, going back to how Trump talks. We got the best, only the best with this situation. It's only going to get better. Like that situation, just imagine, pick one. Pick a different one. We got the best. See? You're going to apply his bullshit, the shit that flows out of his mouth, to anything. Anything. And you imagine that he supports this and that, and that's why you're fighting for him. You don't know fuck all. But you see enemies in the shadows. Imagine enemies, because they want... We say, I don't really like to use the word they too much, but corruption here wants you to be that way so that corruption can continue. People get these rich criminals get richer and utilize this and that, and they'll probably fuck off to another country. So, you know, when it all collapses, it all burns down, And who you got to blame? Well, probably yourself if you're a MAGA, devout MAGA follower. Why? Because you let yourself get played. You're in a game, being used literally like a chess piece, a pawn on a chessboard, completely expendable. You're never going to get to the end of the board and be promoted to any higher rank. It's not going to happen. The American dream is an idea that's been dangled in front of you to get you working harder and harder and harder and slugging away. It's kind of like that in the UK with keep raising the pension age, the retirement age, and things like that. But horrendously double down with it in America. Economic slavery. The average American is a slave, addicted to consumerism and entertainment. Fuck the facts, though. You don't have to learn anything. You can still. It's great, America. You can still make it in America without knowing anything. Yeah. Look where that got you. Do you know anything about survival? You're gonna need to. Some of you. A lot of you. I mean, if it's all out civil war all over the country, every single one of you, yeah. If you got land, start growing your own food. If it can be, I mean, grow your own food. If you can protect it against perhaps animals that might eat it, do it now. Don't. You got this in this mess with the attitude of, I don't need to do anything now. I'll wait till if it's going to get worse, then I might act. If you're still using that language now, you're fucking useless. And that's what is needed for corruption to continue, for good people to just run around clueless and do nothing, right? Grow your own food, number one. Number two, get behind a VPN because some websites are going to be blocked here and there, definitely. Because why? Because it will be labeled on different websites, particularly if they're advocates of news outlets or whatever, or analysing what the news was saying here and there, looking at particular words, how it's used to manipulate people. Websites like that, critical thinking, they're going to be blocked because that's a threat to the agenda, which is to carry on using you while they carry on gaining more and more power, and you just lose your life. You end up a shorter lifespan because of this corruption. I mean, for fuck's sake, your own House Secretary is a paranoid conspiracy theorist that thinks vaccines cause autism, painkillers cause autism. There's no science to back any of it up. A lot of things that are in, forget what you call the painkiller. The painkiller is being blamed. In the UK, we call it paracetamol. The ingredients in it actually exist in many other things that in much lower doses, of course, and not the right combinations that equal a painkiller, but they exist in many things that you might even eat as food anyway, and they exist in plants that you might use as salad, fruits and veg. They exist there, but some of them become more powerful once they're extracted and be on its own. Sure, there's whole science to that. But you didn't know that. You're not supposed to know that. All you were supposed to do is go point the finger. Oh, so and so said it's that, so it's that, and fight a fictional enemy. While the corruption rubs a hand, look at them. we got it made. People believe this bullshit, and Trump believes his own shit 100%. But who's advising people like Trump? Now there's a sociopathy, a psychopathy going on there. Most likely. Now, if you're worried about sociopathy at the moment, wait till you get a psychopath in power. Then you're fucked. right? Who's advising idiots like Trump? Who advised him? Who brought him along and encouraged him to be in politics in the first place? Because it wouldn't have been his idea as long as there was something in it for him. Anyway, what a utter garbage, complete mess. I do enjoy that countries all over the world are trading with each other and leaving America out the picture because America has been very poisonous in multiple ways, literal as well, for the rest of the world. And political politeness, no, social etiquette is over. And this is why people are now saying fuck America, because guess what? They've been saying it all their life. But the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, is where America is now. And it's like, fuck it, we've had enough. It's absurd. And it's always been broken. But now it's broken on every single damn level. Every level. Your healthcare, of course. But just your politics is not politics anymore in the United States. Hasn't been for a long time. It's an all-out bitch fest for a popularity contest. Well, these bullshit policies are put in place as they're not policies. There's a statue made of Charlie Kirk. No, sorry, statue made Trump and what's the PDF file prick idiot asshole Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. A statue of Trump and him celebrating Friendship Month. And that is done to rile you up and be disgusted. So one side can fight another. One side will say, well, there's no proof yet. And another side will be talking about, well, why didn't they just release the Epstein files then? Trump's on the files and so on. And you just keep arguing and arguing that this is why America talks a shitload but does fuck all, because you're being played all of the time. Everything is like that, is a thing to rile up, a distraction while the corruption carries on continuing. Oh, they got them fighting on that, it worked. Come with me, I got something to say, and we keep this secret, we do this, we do that. You're being played. And Caroline Leavitt is a sociopath on the bandwagon, feeling so comfortable. But the shit's gonna hit the fan everywhere. The train's gonna crash, and Caroline now there won't have a seat on the train. Neither will the whole Trump administration anyway. It's gonna crash. And it's gonna be fucking ugly when it does. It's ugly now. You think it's bad now? Don't know what to tell you. It feels like people just will not be able to see it coming because you've been so programmed with such utter garbage and bullshit that America was so great in the first place. It's got you practicing all your life a cognitive dissonance, it's like a mass, it worked, a mass delusion of America, mass delusion that it could never get that bad. This is America. How many times have we heard that rhetoric? This is America. You can't do this. You can't do that. This is America. And we hear things being done that are illegal. You can't do this. You can't do that. Illegal. And they're doing them anyway. So what's wrong with your law system? It's too fucking slow, isn't it? Thanks for watching. Bye.